don't have our own studio, and we're renting a studio, which is a wonderful place. We really love it here, but we had a little bit of technical challenge tonight, so we might be able to add Rumble Stream in a little while, but if not, we hope that you are joining us on YouTube, and we're excited that you are with us here tonight. I want to start off by thanking our sponsors, R30 Agency, a private investigation firm, as well as an organization that offers things like weapons training. I know several people who have recently taken R30 Agency's classes and have loved them. So if you are looking to become more secure in your personal defense, definitely reach out to R30 Agency. And then from Salvo, the renowned political scientist Larry Sabato once said, "Every election is determined by the people who show up." In today's world, we know it's more like every election is determined by the people who get out the vote. And I'll take it a step further. It's those who chase the most ballots who win elections. Anyone who has participated in a political campaign organization knows that they are inherently disorganized, fragmented, reactive. Not to mention, you have to deal with consultants, which are a combination of used car salesmen and parasites on a rhino's rear end. Gets me every time. It's very true. And they care more about funding their corner office than making sure that the campaign that they're working with and the candidate they're working with is successful in getting into office. And this is where Salvo Journeys comes in. Salvo is a voter outreach platform. It gives your political campaign, your party, or your PAC full control over voter outreach, which is so key. It lets you do things like plan a campaign roadmap, streamline petition signing, remind voters of important election dates, and of course, the most important, to chase ballots during the get out the vote period. Influencing voters takes at least 10 contacts. We know this from things like sales, that it takes at least 10. So how do you keep track of those contacts? Who you've emailed, who you've texted, who you've door knocked, right, Abby? It can be a lot when you're trying to keep track of all of these things.
It's a ton.
So who you've sent direct mailers to. There's so many vendors and there's so many disconnected tools. So Salvo solves these problems by allowing you to target the right voter with the right message at the right time. It unifies the fragmented tool sets into a simple to use software with district insights, campaign milestones, voter data segmentation, contact timelines, outreach productivity reporting, and of course, again, the voter outreach salvos. Salvo is cost effective because it eliminates the consultant and their vendor buddies, and it lets you go directly to the voter at the best price possible. We have two very affordable pricing options, month-to-month pricing plans for a do-it-yourself program, or you can hire a Salvo Journey guide for a month or more to help you get going and help coordinate your ground game. Things like texting, emailing, door hangers, and mailers are all offered at the best in-market prices. The 2024 election year is going to be hectic, so start planning your voter outreach now with Salvo Journeys. You can go to www.salvo.today to create your account. We, the Locals listeners, get a free guided journey session to help kickstart your campaign, so make sure to mention us by name when you go there. Salvo Journeys, Campaign Victory Simplified. Thank you so much for your sponsorship. If you are interested in sponsoring us, your business, or you as a person, please check us out on our website, or you can drop us a super chat tonight, and if we are able to get Rumble live and going, we'll add Rumble rants to that. But definitely drop in your comments, your questions, your concerns, so we can hear from you. Like, share, and subscribe. Did I cover everything? That was a long intro for tonight.
I think you got it all.
Woo! I'm done, guys. That's it. My work here is done. I'm going home. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So.
Not at all. That's awesome. And I'm very excited about having Ro, who's part of Salvo, on our next episode. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be awesome conversation.
December 7th.
So make sure that you mark your calendars, and that's going to be a can't miss episode, that one right there.
I mean, they're all can't miss.
Well, that's very true.
Absolutely.
And we're glad to have you back, Abby.
Yes.
We missed you last time.
I know. I missed you guys. I was in the chat. I was having severe FOMO the whole time. I was like, and of all the episodes to miss, it was the one with Commissioner Marcy Woodward. So,
we missed you, but it was a lot of fun.
We did.
I bet it was.
So thank you, Commissioner Woodward, for your time on that episode. We did have a really good time.
Well, I'm happy to report that, me and my coaching girlfriends, we were down in the Keys that weekend to do our coaching conference. It's our second annual virtual conference that we put on for other coaches, and it went so well.
That's awesome.
Our second year, so we had year one in the books. Actually, I hired a live stream support team out of my church. They were amazing. Alpha Media Productions. If you ever need to do some sort of
Not sponsors of the podcast
live stream,
yet.
but I want to give them a shout out
Get
because
get that shout out.
they
Yeah.
definitely over delivered for us, and we had so much fun doing the walkthrough on Friday and then the actual conference on Saturday, and it went just about as well as it could have, and
Awesome.
felt really
Glad
good
to hear that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
exciting.
Yeah, so,
So even though you weren't here, you were doing something good.
yes, always.
Always. What's new? So let's chat. How's everybody been? It's been a while since it's just been us, though, because we've had guests the last
The
couple
last
of
two times were
Yeah,
guests.
so
Yeah,
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is great. I mean, we love having our guests, but it's fun also just to
Yes.
kind of chat and stuff. So
Yeah,
what's new?
it's kind of like our version of therapy, I think. sometimes.
You guys just get to listen to us.
don't make me laugh too hard tonight.
I'm going to
'cause
start coughing.
We're both gonna start coughing. We've had the black lung for like 2 weeks now.
Black lung.
Nothing other than the cough. No other symptoms.
Just
but
a
it's
cough.
like
It's just
yeah.
there. And Marcy said it's like a feather tickling
Oh,
right
it's
here.
so
and then you
bad.
just start coughing and coughing and coughing.
Yeah.
It's so fun. So
Yeah.
Well, thankfully, I don't have that, and I don't want it, so keep your distance, please.
So I got to tour the waste management
Ooh.
Broward recycling facility on Monday morning.
trash talk.
Trash talk. Dun, dun, dun. It's our favorite thing to talk about. I would just like to give a shout out to Barbara Herrera, who's the municipal liaison for waste management, and then Shiraz, like the wine. That's the guy that gave us the tour, and Carmela.
Does he make wine?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But they were so happy to have us. I went with one of the Lighthouse Point commissioners, Patty Petrone, and we toured the facility, and it was so cool. I mean, after hearing you guys talk about touring the waste energy facility up in Palm Beach, the Solid Waste Authorities.
It was awesome.
Yeah. I do want to correct myself. We do have a waste energy facility in Broward. It's in Davie. So we do have an incinerator.
Oh.
There was a second one in Coconut Creek, and that one they closed down.
Okay.
And then the Miami-Dade one burnt down on Super Bowl Sunday. Like last year, the year.
What?
They were
Really?
gonna they were gonna close it. They were gonna shut it anyways because it's like from the 50s or 60s. And then it mysteriously caught fire on Super Bowl Sunday.
Mysteriously
So,
caught fire?
Yeah.
Is that like a thing?
I don't know. But anyways, back to the waste management. It was eye-opening because I can't believe the amount of like textiles that people think are recyclable, like kids' comforters and pillows and
They
clothing.
think it's recyclable?
They throw it in the recycling bin. I mean, there was a whole like if there's too much reject in a load, they will reject the whole load. And when
And
we
then
got
where does
there,
it go when they reject it?
well, they have to like send it back to a landfill. Like the whole load has to be loaded back into a truck
Good
and sent back to a
grief.
landfill. So if there's too much of that in a load, then they reject the whole load. And there was like a whole mound. I mean, huge mound that like it was a reject load. But in
Comforters?
comforters. I mean, there was like cables.
Maybe
there
people
was.
think like recycling, that it's like Goodwill.
I think. I don't know. A lot. I think a lot of people just throw whatever in whatever bin. They don't
Yeah.
pay attention.
They're just
It's
like,
an
"Oh, the
education
trash will
issue.
take it."
Yeah.
But and then in addition to that, people think things like Publix bags are recyclable. The plastic bags,
Yeah, no, they're not.
they gum up
Yeah.
the machines. And
Yeah.
they actually had one line that was shut down while we were there because kind of like when you have to clean all the hair out of your vacuum roller
We
brush.
don't have to do that at my house, obviously.
Right. Yeah. We fight the same battles. They have to do that with the plastic bags. Like
Yeah.
they
have
get
to,
caught
like,
in the
and
rollers.
It's like time consuming and
well,
it's
if you
labor.
think, like
Yeah.
that facility is like I had to take cost accounting in college. It's
You take what?
cost accounting.
Oh, okay.
Like manufacturing, it's all about like keeping your overhead costs low, keeping your shutdown time to a minimum. When you got to shut down a whole line, and I think they have like 3 lines there, so the other 2 were still up and running, but it's like reduced capacity,
Yeah.
and so they lose time sorting all the things, and it was so cool because the lighter stuff like the paper, it goes up the rollers. And the heavier stuff drops to the bottom, and then it gets filtered again, and it's like 3 layers of filtration of the recycling goods. But that one was shut down because they're cleaning out the plastic bags.
And then do they sell the stuff?
Yes,
Makes
everything that they take in there that is sellable, they sell.
It's pretty
There's
cool.
a market for everything.
Isn't that crazy? I
Does
never
it go
always...
back to the municipality, or does it go?
No, they sell it to buyers. Like, there's a company in Central Florida, like
yeah, but
around
I'm talking
Lakeland.
about the revenue from it.
It reduces their fees. Yeah, it reduces the cost to the municipality
Ah.
if they sell off, like it's an offset. You know, what was really
And
cool.
that's... Sorry.
Go
I
ahead.
have a question. So that for does everyone in Broward County use the same process?
Yes.
So municipalities just have their own collection, and then it's transferred over to.
No, I think Waste Management does the collections
Oh,
for
okay.
all the municipalities. Now, there's like 4 or 5 cities in Broward that do not participate in recycling. Deerfield,
But why, if the county is already collecting?
it's because it's more expensive. Like the
They
city.
still have to pay for the service.
So, like in Deerfield, Waste Management does not collect the recycling. The city of Deerfield collects both cans, and it all goes to the landfill. So, like residents use their recycling bin as an extra garbage can for right now. They've had it in the past,
Interesting.
but
Do they know that? I wonder.
yeah, there's like 4 or 5 cities that don't recycle right now because they've made the decision, like the commission has made a decision that it's too expensive. And Lighthouse Point, it came up for discussion, it was either in September or October, whether or not to continue because there was a price increase. And the commissioners, they felt that the residents truly do want to recycle. We need to educate our residents to properly sort. Like, for instance, I sometimes get like a meal delivery and it comes in those plastic containers and you think, oh, these are recyclable. But I learned on Monday, like the number 5 and 6, in the little recycling, those aren't recyclable. And it's not that they're not recyclable. It's that facility can't recycle them.
Right. And that was what we learned on ours is that a lot of times people, like, that's why there's different numbers to tell you different things, but not all facilities take all of the same numbers.
Yeah.
So knowing where your, again, knowledge is power, knowing where your garbage or recycling goes helps you make a more educated decision on how you process it.
Yeah. So for Broward County residents, paper, all paper, 1s and 2s in the recycling, and it's narrow neck bottles. Like if you think about like water bottles, well, glass, all glass is recyclable as long as it's not contaminated, like food contaminated. But like plastic bottles. So if you think like water bottles or Gatorade bottles, the neck narrows.
Yeah.
And then also like laundry detergent containers. Those are even the ones that have like the 2 spouts, like the airflow, they're still narrow neck.
Which is interesting because that's like a big thing in like the recycling, like green earth world is the laundry detergent containers. So they're just filling the landfills. They're just filling landfills.
But they're recyclable.
Yeah. And I think that's people don't know that.
Yeah. And then
that's why they made Tide Pods.
I think we've realized through this process that a lot of people don't know a lot of things.
Yeah. I mean, that's just humanity, I think.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I'm trying to think what other big takeaways I had from that. But it was a very interesting. And then of course there was the section of the facility where like a lot of the commercial stuff goes. So like Shred It and those kind of companies. It was like mounds and mounds of shredded paper. It's like and Shiraz was like, "Do you guys remember Enron?" I was like, "Of course I do." So it was good. So obviously companies like that, or what was really interesting was like the cruise lines. There's certain cruise lines that you could tell, like there was a whole section where it was all cans, recycling cans, and they were already compacted into like bales. And you could tell the cruise ones because they're contracted. They only sell like Coke products, like Coke and Sprite.
Yeah.
And so like the entire bale was like red Coke cans and green Sprite cans. That was it. Whereas the non-cruise ones had like beer cans and Coke and Sprite and Pepsi and like it was
all the different ones.
But yeah, I have pictures on my camera from all of it. It was
funny.
It was cool, but
it's fun.
Yeah,
it's interesting, right?
Definitely highly recommend to do a tour.
Yeah, and they love giving the tours. Like they're
they
like,
loved it. They love it when we come.
Invite everybody because knowledge is power, and if we get everybody to do it the right way, it reduces the cost.
Well, it's an investment, right? Because if you invest in the people, then they'll follow through, and then they can sell more because more people will recycle, and so it's a cycle. It's a cycle. And,
it's a recycle cycle. To be Republicans who care about our environment and breaking those pesky stereotypes.
We don't do that.
Oh,
Josie.
sorry.
That's against the norm.
We're conservative in more ways than one.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
That's my whole point.
That is the conservative view.
We should be conserving what we have and preserving what we have.
Yes,
God gave us the earth. He said, this is be a steward and take care of it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so,
And the earth will take care of you.
Yes. So just like with the talents, we're going to use our talents, not bury them.
That's
Correct.
Right. That's right.
Anywho, Jessica, what's up? Thank you, Abby. That's interesting.
That's
You're
awesome.
welcome.
Couple things. It feels like it's been so long. I can't believe it's been like 2 weeks. I'm like, what's happened in 2 weeks? And then I
where
feel
matter
like,
what's happening.
I'm like, it feels like a lot has happened the last 2 weeks. So Monday was, we went to the funeral for Clinton Forbes, who was the Palm Trend executive director. He passed away at the age of 55, very unexpectedly. And we had, I was able to attend that funeral, and he was an amazing man. So it was definitely a great loss to, not only his family and his friends, but to the county as well. He was just honored and such a tribute to him. Yeah. And it was definitely a very beautiful service. And it was to describe a celebration of life, that was a celebration of life. I mean, there was laughter, there was funny stories, there was how serious, the seriousness of it as well. But just kind of put your life into perspective a little bit. And so definitely want to send our thoughts and prayers to the Clinton Forbes family. And his loss was definitely felt within the county and beyond.
The county and beyond.
Well, he was part of Miami-Dade for a little while. Broward was trying to get him for a while.
He was in Ohio.
He was in Ohio. So definitely he was he was very good and sought after for what he did, and he was just a very dynamic guy. So it was pretty awesome. I have come to find out that a lot of local municipalities, I know Delray, Boynton, I think in Boca as well, have apps.
Yes.
And so, like, if you live in a local, those that live in a municipality, be sure that you're checking, your Apple or Google app store to see if your city has an app. It's a great way, like, you can get notifications if there's things that are coming up, if there's a problem in your municipality and you want to make a comment, or you want to send something to a department that a traffic light's out. The county has one as well. It's called the Connect app. So another great, easy way. I love how more of these municipalities in the county are starting to work more in technology and connecting people so that it's easier to figure out what's going on because of all of the things. And as we were just kind of talking, is like a lot of people don't know a lot of things because less and less people, watch the news and things like that. They get their information from Twitter or Facebook or whatever else. So, and make sure that you're following your municipalities and stuff on Facebook and Twitter and things of that nature to be able to know what's going on. Most of the time, they only post the good stuff. The things that they want you to hear.
And some of them, like I know, like Boca does text messaging. You sign up. I sign up for Boca's text messages, so I get
alert
texted.
System,
yeah, the alert system. So I get texted when and I have the Boca PD one as well.
I do too.
So if there's a traffic jam or there's an accident or there's an alert or code red somewhere in the city, anything that could affect your day-to-day life, they'll send that to you, and then updates about things that are happening in the city. I get the agendas for all the city council and workshop meetings sent, automatically. So it's a good way to keep a finger on the pulse without I can choose to look at it or not, but at least I know what's going on. Oh yeah, city council meetings.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I think a lot of people don't realize,
exactly.
I know I didn't know anything that was going on until I got into this environment. And if you guys don't stop coughing, like
I'm so sorry.
Me too.
Like, don't die.
I think Abby's almost, it looks like she's almost dying over there. So
breathe, Abby, breathe.
We are now live on Rumble.
Are we live on Rumble? Woo! Welcome if you are just joining us.
You need a water,
as Abby is dying over here.
I have a water.
Okay.
Abby's alive. It's okay. She'll be fine. Welcome if you're just joining us on Rumble. welcome. Drop us a Rumble rant. Say hello.
Let me
Or-
double
Sorry
check.
for the delay.
Sorry for the delay. We had a
Sorry
little
for the
technical
delay. So anyway, local municipalities, be sure to check out your apps. Follow them on Facebook, YouTube, or on Twitter, any of the social medias to stay tuned, because this is where we get to know what everybody's doing and be able to kind of stay ahead of the game instead of always following 2 steps behind.
Right.
You know, we always seem to find out when things are happening before after they're already done. And then we want to complain and do something about them, but at that point it's a little bit too late.
Exactly.
So also on the next agenda for the county that's up on pbc.gov, the next meeting is the 21st, which is Tuesday. There is something on the consent agenda from the from the supervisor of elections. 35 precincts are changing their boundaries, and this is within commission districts 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7.
So everything but ours.
All but South County. Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting. What do you mean changing their boundaries?
So because of the way that the redistricting happened, there's some precincts that are kind of cut off. So from my understanding and kind of looking at the information a little bit, they've just kind of moved those lines a little bit to kind of fit within those redistricting areas. Doesn't seem like anything to be too concerned about, but just to, like, your precinct number may change, or things of that nature. So we had that with redistricting, but
so pay attention
as well. But pay attention. So if you get a new card or something, they do have to get the board approval, but I don't see that anybody would not approve that for any reason or have concerns about it. It seemed pretty straightforward but I just want to make sure that people know that because when we go into voting, starting in the municipalities in March, if you're
Right around the corner.
Right around the corner. If your precinct number changed and you go to vote and you're at the wrong polling location or whatever, it could cause some problems. So you want to make sure that you're just being aware.
So
Abby,
basically what
you
happened
live
in
over there?
22.
I am alive. I actually just
Sorry,
put that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you,
We're
Stu.
live on Rumble now, and I
Okay.
said, "Okay, we are live," and I, Abby, am alive. Oh my gosh! I apologize. Very unprofessional, but
That's
hey,
all right. It happens.
nature can't be helped.
What were you saying, Stu?
I said it's just like in 22.
Yeah.
When they changed everything, and then we had a different precinct number.
Precinct
Yeah,
numbers, and
yeah.
your polling location might change, which that might change in general
But
sometimes.
they're required to send out new cards every
Yes.
time that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Which
be on the lookout.
you have to pay attention.
Well, we just don't. I'm bringing it to everybody's attention because what happens is they'll get a new thing and they're like, I didn't change my precinct. What's going on? This
Right.
is some type of shady stuff. So I'm just letting you know that this is.
Did you guys get that? I
it's
meant to bring it in. The supervisor of elections
Yes,
sent
the
out the
huge
big,
thing.
huge thing. So check your mail. Hopefully you got it. If you didn't, you probably should double check and make sure everything is good. It was a big, beautiful, glossy flyer that had all my information, your contact.
Broward didn't do that.
Not contact, but this is your polling location, all that, and then it had a calendar
all the
of all of the dates of when
Oh.
early voting starts, when it's not, which election, blah 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 blah. So because what's different this year for municipals, which is we don't usually have early voting for municipals, but because it's a presidential preference primary, there will be early voting.
What's really interesting is last year when I ran, we typically don't, obviously.
Right.
But because there was the special elections for the
There was
state
a lot
senate,
of that. Yep.
state senate seat in March, maybe that was the only reason.
It's usually why.
But
so if
we
it's a
had
county
early- yeah.
election or higher, there'll be I think
Right.
county.
So there was early voting available for Lighthouse Point last year.
So, and speaking of voting, I just want to put it out there. They are definitely looking for poll workers. Everyone likes to do poll watching, which is great. Definitely a good thing to do. But why sit there at the poll watching when you could get paid, not much, but still get paid to work?
Yes.
As well as then you're on the more of the inside track. You can actually do something if you see something. Rather, if you're a poll worker and you see something, there's really nothing you can do.
A poll watcher.
Sorry, a poll watcher, and you see something, the most you can do is try to get it public, but there's not anything you can do at that moment inside of the polling location. But if you're a poll worker and you see someone doing something sketch, you get to kick it up the chain. So if you're interested in poll working, they're definitely hiring right now. If you would like to work early voting, you have to have worked at least one election day election before you're eligible to work early voting. So if you would like to work early voting, then you have to work definitely election day. So you can do that like in the March elections, and then you can work early voting for the rest of the elections.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So make sure that if you do that, I have had people say to me that they applied and they never heard. They're discriminating against Republicans. If you have that happen and they don't take you, you can contact us. I can find out why. I can find out.
You have an inside scoop.
I do have an inside scoop. I'm not going to publicize it too much, but we can look into that. So, make sure, like, sometimes
We have a few inside scoops.
we have a few inside scoops in different places.
And Broward is hiring as well. They are
So,
actively looking for poll workers. I do know someone that has been a poll worker in the past. She reached out and said they are actively looking. So any of my Broward brethren looking to make a little money and also keep an eye out on the polls, reach out because we can put you in touch with the right people.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my little advertisement for that.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to kind of let people know what was going on with that. And, I go through these agendas and everything, especially on the county level. And we talk about a socialist community, like having social programs. And it's like the grants that go through our county, that's social programs.
A lot of them, yeah.
Like we have we have such a large budget, and so much of it is because of I want to say money laundering, but that's not
money moving. It's money moving.
It's like the first thing that wants to come out of my mouth, but it's like because it is. It's
not money laundering. It's money moving.
It's money moving, but it's still our money, whether it comes from a federal level, a state level, or a local
All
level.
of the governments, individual governments, like to pretend that if it's not from their budget, then it's free money. It doesn't come from anywhere. It just appears on the trees, and it's like no, it's all our money.
Right. And especially from, like a federal level, it's like we pay our federal taxes or, that's where that money comes from. And Palm Beach County is a donor county, which means we pay out way more than what we get back in. So it is a way for us to bring tax dollars back to the county that we normally would not receive.
Is Broward County a donor county too?
I think all of the big counties are.
Mm-hmm.
We subsidize the rural counties in the state.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so, just I think this is something that should just be on our watch list and things that we, kind of, because it's like once you realize where your federal money and your federal dollars are going, it's like you get really angry with the decisions that they make. And so this is just another area that we need to look into. And yes, it's grant money. And I know our county administrator, she's very good about saying if the program goes away, the position goes away. So it's not like we're necessarily paying for salaries out of our ad valorem dollars. Blah, blah, blah. It's coming, that's being part of the grant money that we're getting in. So, which at least that's a benefit. That's helpful, I think. But just something that I think that we need to kind of keep an eye on. Yeah. Another very interesting thing that I have to bring up because it's irritating the crap out of me is
Please vent.
Let's
Please.
go.
Is the
therapy.
Fact that I'm, seeing on Facebook or Twitter that the musician Pink, and I have been a huge fan of Pink for a long time. I've always loved her music. It's always, I've always enjoyed it. But I'm angry. I'm so upset that she did this whole thing with her concerts here in Florida that she was gonna give out banned books. Banned books.
Buzzword. Banned.
At her concerts. And it's like, there are no banned books in Florida, people. Nobody is banning books.
Nobody's banning books.
The only thing that is being done is that they're getting moved to the proper aged appropriate place. And if they are not age appropriate for school, they are getting removed. Like, you could still go buy the book for your kid if you want. Like, nobody's
Amazon's still selling it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just saying, like, we're not going to give free access to a child that walks into a library without having like, they get to have a conversation with their parents, and if their parents decide to go get them that book, then the parent can go get them that book.
And it's more of the school libraries, isn't it?
It's the school library.
Yeah.
So, and this is the game that is played, and we sit through a lot of community meetings, and I get to hear a school board report from a specific school board member once a month, and every single month, the first thing she opens with is, we here in Palm Beach County have not banned any books. And everyone in the room cheers. And it takes everything in me, because I'm representing the commissioner, not myself. I have a lot of ping pong conversations in my head, just to be like, that's not what's happening. Like, I guarantee you that if I took the books that they are taking out of the libraries or banning, which is the word that they're using, and read them in the microphone in this room, all of these nice, cute little old people would be horrified.
Oh, yeah.
And be like, what are you doing? And be like, well, this is what they are saying is not banned. Like, this is what they're talking about. It's not To Kill a Mockingbird. In fact, if you Google, is anybody banning To Kill a Mockingbird, you know the first thing that comes up?
The list, like a
few years ago, there were Democrat groups that were trying to get that book banned because it says words in it that are no good words.
Yeah.
So the only people who have literally ever tried to ban To Kill a Mockingbird are Democrats. And it's an easy Google search if you don't believe me, unless they've removed it, like, to expunge everything. They scrubbed it by now. I'm sure me saying this, as I'm saying this, Google is like, I'm erasing right now. But, like, it's this whole thing. It's everything that's going on in the world, in all groups from small to big, of words being taken and not used correctly.
Yeah.
And when people don't understand what words mean, then they don't. Then they're easily led astray, and they're easily led here. We're seeing this happen in. We'll get into it when I get into my thing with what's happening with Israel and the anti-Semitism and the word genocide. I mean, I've never heard the word genocide used so often, and I'm like, do you know what the word means? Because that's you're not using the word correctly. You're not describing something correctly. Like, sorry.
Well, this is how, this is the psychological warfare.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly
warfare that comes in is because of the fact that is what makes America so amazing and from our foundation is the fact that it was based on the educated word, and that words meant certain things, and that's what they meant. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, yes, the dialect changed, and, words got either more complex or easily described in some cases as well.
We don't say thee, thou, thus anymore.
Right. But, so it's gotten a little bit more modernized. What's that word I want to say?
Modernizing.
I need to stop using big words. I really do.
Speaking of big words, I'm
kidding. From a very small hick town in Michigan, like literally like cornfield on all sides and blinking lights. Like
that sounds like my college town in Ohio.
I mean, I did not get a fancy education by any means. I just got the basics.
Wait. But was it an imitation education?
No, it was not an imitation education.
Someone asked a question at a meeting, and they were discussing the meeting that we were at the other day. The superintendent of Palm Beach County Schools was there as the guest speaker, and he took questions. And because during his speech he talked about HB1, which is the school choice bill, and so he kind of talked about that a little bit, touched on how that's impacting the schools and how Palm Beach County now needs to have better schools.
They have to compete.
They have to compete,
which is a good thing.
Except for his approach to it is to have better customer service. So teachers are now
customer service agents
instead of teachers, which on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I can understand they want to have a good experience, but at the same time, I think it's inhibiting teachers from being able to actually teach.
Yeah.
Right.
And deal with behavior problems. And anyway, that's a whole other thing. So this guy asks a question, and he's like, how is it impacting, I can't remember how he said budgets or something like that, for these things, for the, he didn't say alternative education. He said imitation education, like homeschooling. And I was like, I was homeschooled. I'm pretty
That's just
sure.
imitation.
I'm very sure. So apparently, I have zero education. It was all imitation education. I
gosh.
can't read. I can't write. I don't know how to reason. Like
Talk about ignorant.
I
man.
was like, oh my gosh, did he just say imitation education? Like I don't even know how to respond to that. Okay, sorry.
But-
So you had a real education because you went to a public school.
Yes,
Therefore, you had a real
yes.
education.
However,
and mine was imitation education.
However, the same teachers I had taught my mother 30
Oh
years
my
prior.
gosh.
I actually
So
had a
it's
few
like-
professors that taught.
So
that
it
my
was
mom
like
had
the
college.
education didn't change in 30 years.
You know what?
so-
You're probably way better educated
Yeah.
than kids today.
Probably. I mean, I
And
had to
doesn't
take
matter
accounting classes and things of that nature where, I had to learn how to balance a checkbook,
Which
That's
They are
valuable.
adding financial
Yeah.
literacy
Yes,
into.
I am super excited
But I
about
want,
that.
but,
Yes,
but
it's
do you
about
know what
time.
that means? Like what type of financial literacy? Because what
I
they
gotta
said
dive
is
into
like
it.
it's like stock trading and stuff like
Oh,
that.
I hope it's more basic life skill stuff.
Oh, God.
right, that's what I'm saying.
Reading a
hope it's-
budget,
yeah.
balancing, writing a check. I mean, I had to learn how to write a check in like 7th grade basic
I
skills.
can't remember when I learned how to write.
I had to teach one of my ex-boyfriends how to write a check at age 30. I'm like, really? Really?
Okay, but to
You're
be
30 years old and you don't know how to write a
I
check?
don't know if my kids know what a check is.
my
Well,
kids
that's what
will
he
have
said.
no
That was
idea.
his. That was his defense. He's like, I've never had to write a check before. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're still an
Allison
adult.
does.
Oh, she learned that in elementary school.
I always liked writing and making when you
She,
like.
she wanted to buy something and I told her no, so she took a check and she wrote out a check in crayon and turned it into her teacher. It was quite the experience.
And then
but
we
it
got
was
a call from the school.
The problem with making me laugh tonight is it's,
It's
gonna
gonna
make
make
me cough.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, can I just interject about Broward schools? I don't know
Yeah.
if you guys saw this, but Broward schools canceled classes today because of the weather.
What?
What?
Yeah, the kids were not in school today in Broward
Because of the weather today?
today.
Why not yesterday? There was no rain today. Because of the wind.
They out of
Wait, what?
Broward schools were closed today.
Was it because there's like downed trees or something? Because I
No.
know in Palm Beach County, if the
I
way
think
that-
they were concerned after what happened in Fort Lauderdale in the spring. I think they were very concerned with the flooding. I mean, the flooding is really bad.
Well, the
there was
commissioner was in Fort Lauderdale today for something, and she told me that it was
so the way that
sunshining there.
counties make those decisions, especially in massively large counties as ours, is if the school buses are impeded in any way and in any area of the county, everything closes.
yeah.
So
I
like
think
if there are downed trees in a certain area where it's really hard for the buses to get through and they
I
can't
think
clear
there
them
was
out, then the
enough-
whole county closes.
I think
the
there was
schools.
enough problems yesterday because it was so wet and so rainy and so windy all day yesterday.
Yeah, there was a lot of debris.
There was a lot of debris on
the
say
ground.
that.
They had a day off earlier in the week too that was planned, and then they were off today, and
Now
then
they're
they're
gonna be
off
off all
all
next
next week. And one of the Twitter accounts I follow who constantly harps on the Broward County schools, and his wife's a teacher in the school system. He's like, yeah, Broward's out of school again today. That's like, and he had a calendar graphic of like all the days X'd out for the month of November
Really?
that they're not in class.
So that means they're going to have to cut vacations short later on in the year.
They'll probably have to tack on some days at the end, like
or
her.
that, which
Oh,
is
I'm
so
sure
fun
they're
for
gonna love
families.
that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Families
Yeah.
love that when they plan vacations a year in advance and then the school's
Snow
like,
days.
sorry.
Yeah.
So I know
So-
they build in like hurricane days and stuff. So anyway, sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
But I want to get back to the pink thing just a
Oh,
little.
yeah.
Pink. Two things. First of all, is that shout out to any of those that made comments on her post saying that the information she was sharing was incorrect. And second of all, is like this is where a lot of our teenagers and young adults get their news and information
Oh, yeah.
from. So stay in your lane. If you are an artist, if you are an actor, if you are not in the political realm and like actually know what is going on in local, state, and federal legislators, just do your craft. Just do your craft.
This
Do
has
what we
been-
pay you to do.
This has
Be
been
an
pissing
artist.
me off since the Dixie Chicks back. That was their name.
So
right?
like this is how I was raised. Like this is why when I was raised, we were uber sheltered, mostly because everything on TV was crap and movies and all that. But also like my parents were like, "Psst, they're all leftist liberals anyway. Why do we want to watch them? Like this is how I was raised.
Yeah.
So
You know,
it never
it's like,
surprises
it's
me.
like if your teenager is getting their news from Taylor Swift and Pink, like
And TikTok.
and thinking that is reality and that they know more, that's a problem.
yes.
Well,
you
we're
know?
seeing that again. Going back, we're seeing that in these protests, where we're seeing hundreds of
And-
thousands of young people that have no knowledge,
No life experience.
no life experience. They have no understanding. They don't even know what. I've seen videos of them chanting things, and they zoom in on like what the people. They don't even know what they're chanting. Like they're mumbling. They're standing at these protests, going, literally, like they're gibberish. Because this
with
is,
their faces covered.
with their
right?
faces covered, and they because of this
Because they're getting paid.
They're there's that too. So because of this,
Yeah.
sorry.
And so it's like if you are a parent and your children or young adult is on social media and things of that nature, have conversations with them about this kind of stuff, like, okay, I get to go to a Pink concert and get free books, like I mean,
Maybe you should check the books.
yeah, check the books, before you're promoting or spending money on these concerts and things of that nature.
Yeah.
Like they are allowed to do this because they have free reign and the money to be
And
able
that's
to
fine.
do
They
it.
can do it. But we as consumers need
Yeah.
to say, no, thank you.
Yeah. Stay in your lane. I'll buy a ticket to your concert. Don't stay in your lane. No thanks.
Sayonara.
I'm moving on. And then when she was called out on it, it was really funny because then she said something along the lines of, I'm giving free books and the MAGA cult is, is on fire.
The MAGA cult.
And then
My
the
favorite
comments
thing.
again, most of the comments were like, this has nothing to do with MAGA. This has nothing to do with Republicans. You are spreading false information. I think she got community noted.
I love
really?
that. I love
it.
community notes so
I
much.
love it when people get community notes. It's like my favorite thing.
So
good.
So I mean, just
Shout out Elon Musk.
yeah. So it's like it's just those things that it's like we just got to pay attention and try to combat these things with truth. And so keep commenting on things like this and just spread the truth out there as much as you can. But also, it's like we don't want to. I'm not interested in like silencing her by any means or restricting her speech or
Her ability to give books away at her concert if she wants. If she wants to
Yeah.
do that, go for it.
yeah. So it's like, but it's like just be honest about it.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is a book I want to promote, and this is what I. Don't try to get into this political action that you have nothing.
She knows nothing about.
That you know absolutely nothing about.
I mean, people-
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's like we've got to start embracing the conflicts and kind of working through them and learning. And the greatest thing is we were at an event yesterday with the commissioner and she got honored.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm noticing as a consistency is that she is so consistent.
Mm-hmm.
She's just very consistent in everything that she does. And she has such admirers from all spectrums of life because of that. And I think that is something that we can really kind of learn from because so many people that we've talked to, especially since the GL vote, they have said, you know what, Commissioner Woodward, I don't agree with you on this particular issue, but you were upfront and honest with me. And I appreciate that because you just stayed true to who you are. I may not agree with you, but I respect you for you.
Right.
And I understand why you voted the way you did because you articulated it, you spoke about it, you explained it, and you were very clear. And so we need more of that. We need more of that just in general in our everyday communication with people is the more that we stay consistent. And I can be very wishy-washy on things, but also at the same time I'm usually like, oh, I didn't know that, or I need more information, or this is where I get to ask questions, or, oh, Jessica, you were like this before, but now you're like this. Well, I have more information now. So this is the new information that I have. And this is what I want to share with you is why I may have changed my view on something. And I think the more that we're able to do that in just an everyday society, a lot of these conflicts would die down.
Yeah.
And people would learn to respect each other a little bit more because of the fact that we're embracing the conflict, we're having the dialogue, we're having the healthy debate, and that's how we solve problems is through healthy debate. 9 times out of 10, I agree with a lot of what somebody on the left might say. I may agree, it's their approach and how they do it that I have a problem with most of the time, or I cannot agree with them, but I can understand where they're coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, and so when we're in relationship with people on the other side of the aisle, if we're sitting down somewhere and we're at a meeting, I can't tell, an elected official like, you suck, I hate you, and be non-professional, So it's like, and I feel like sometimes the people on the right, like, that's what they expect Republicans to do a lot of the time. But then also at the same time, like, we still have to have a backbone, and we still have to be able to stand up, and we still need to be able to say, like, I don't agree with you on that.
And here's why. And that's why again, knowledge, knowing why. I'm coming with facts. And also, here's the thing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I was like, knowing your own information about things that you care about. So, like, people weigh in on a lot of things that they know nothing about.
Oh, yeah.
And I personally, like, really try not to do that because, first of all, I don't want to be caught with my foot in my mouth, and I have a big mouth. So, and a loud mouth, apparently, right, Stu? He's going to turn me down over here. But I want to make sure. So, like, if it's not something I know a lot about, I'm not going to, like, jump in and wait. But when I do know a lot about something, it also gives more credence to when I say, okay, here's something I do know about, and this is the information. Now, I'd like to hear what you have to say, and I will probably tell you, well, this is where you're wrong, or I'll be like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought about that way. But, like, overall, I think we've gotten into this world, especially, like, since COVID. I've seen this a lot over the last 6 weeks, where people who were right about one thing, right about COVID, right about this, and have gained a platform to speak about it, are now suddenly on this, like, I'm right about everything. And here's why. I'm going to send this documentary. You need to watch this documentary. But you don't know anything about this conflict. Or you don't know anything about what's being discussed. You don't know the history. You're like, if you did, then maybe you would think a little bit differently. And if you still form your opinion, then that's fine. But clearly by how you're speaking, you don't actually know.
Right.
So just because you know about... It's
okay to stay quiet and to listen and to observe and figure things out before...
Or ask questions.
I love Dan Bongino because he has the Bongino rule that it's like 72 hours or something before he'll make a decision on anything. Because it's like, you have to, like, the event or the experience happens, and then there's one or two different sides of it. If you weren't a firsthand acknowledger, like... there's different sides to the scenario that you may not know or be aware of yet.
Exactly.
So it's like, you have to kind of, like, pick your battles a little bit wise, especially
if battle for something that you know.
Especially if you're an influencer or somebody who has a platform.
Exactly.
I think that's what's so great about us and our platform is it's like, we don't really make a lot of opinions here and try to throw them down your throat. We just give you information and let you figure it out for yourselves. And I think that
sorry guys.
I think that
it's gonna be a rough night.
I know.
I think this is where the left wins, is because of the fact that they are so matter of fact in their points that they don't let you question.
Yeah, even when they don't know what they're talking about, they just keep trudging forward.
And then then they call you names and scream at you, and you're like, all right.
Right. Where I think
some
that
Republicans do that too.
Oh no, that's yes, they do. And then they, like, pretend that they don't. It's the most bizarre thing I've
story
ever.
of my life these days.
I'm all about, like, giving information and, like, whatever you want to do with it, empower yourself, figure it out. And, this is what I thought was so great, especially in Commissioner Woodward's campaign, is that when I would knock on a door, I would say, my friend Marcy is running for county commission. And I think if you just checked her out, that you would agree with her on a lot of things. And if you like her, go ahead and vote for her. And they'd look at me like deer in the headlights look, like, you're not going to, like, you just want me to check her out?
You don't want me to vote for her or donate to her or all these things. No, just look into it. Right.
I'm like, just check her out. And they would be like, oh, okay, I'll check her out.
Yeah.
Because it was so confrontational.
Yeah.
It was just, I have information that I want to share with you. This is my thoughts on it. You know, if they ask me questions or whatever, I would answer them. But I wasn't forceful at all. You know, I was just like, hey, this is some information. I think if you checked out her website, hear what she has to say. I think you'll love her like I do. And it was so effective. And so it's like, if we can do more of that on the Republican side coming into 2024 and giving the information and not pushing down these culture wars and partisan politics and things of that nature, and just, you know, here's somebody who wants to get in, you know, that knows the issues, that can do the job. Yes. You know, I don't care if you can win a campaign. Can you do the job? Because we have.
Do you know the job that you are interviewing for, which is what a campaign is?
Right. And this is the big difference between a politician and a citizen candidate, right? You know, because a politician is only caring about the position, the power that comes with that position, where a citizen candidate is invested in their community and they want to do right, and they want to make good decisions, you know,
and understand.
Yes, where a politician, they don't care about any of that. They just want the seat. They just want the power, that whatever that seat.
The prestige.
And then it moves them up the ladder. The Democrats are so good at this. They are so good at this. They will plant people. You know, they'll get them elected in these city council things and things of that nature. And next thing you know, they're in Congress. And they
forever.
Like the crypt keepers. They are.
And they're making fools of themselves, but they have all of these talking points that make them look like, oh, look, I just schooled, you know, so-and-so, but they said no substance. And I'm talking about Jared Moskowitz, because he's a freaking clown.
No.
He's such a
Smurf.
freaking clown.
He's a Smurf.
Oh, yeah. He's a Smurf.
Somebody called him a Smurf.
It was Comer.
There has
called
been
him a
some
Smurf.
spicy things. I'm sorry. I know we're more focused on local, but did you
Mark
guys
Wayne
see?
Mullen?
Yeah.
Yes. The Oklahoma
They
senator?
almost went to like fisticuffs.
Let's,
He was going
let's
to
go right now.
Right now. He
Let's
started
go
taking his
right
ring
now.
off. You know he's a UFC fighter.
Yes. I did not know that until my father told me that.
I didn't even know who he was. And then
Yeah.
you got Bernie Sanders in there. Everybody sit down. You're a U.S. Senator.
That was a great imitation.
Thank you.
That was perfect.
The throat scratch helps.
Yes.
So he was calling, you know, and that's the thing too, is like all of these liberals, left, Democrats, they're such keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they want to talk their crap. They want to, you know, but it's like once you confront them with the issues, they don't. Yeah.
They're paid actors.
Yeah,
they are paid actors,
exactly.
and their staffers write their scripts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They don't care about governing and doing the job. This is why politicians have to go. They have to go, and we need more citizen candidates across the board. And you know, I went and saw Bill Reicherter at the Coral Springs Mall, of all places.
You went to Coral Square Mall?
Yeah.
Woo!
Take your
Boynton
life
Beach
in your
Mall.
hands.
Rough.
Oh, no, it was Boynton Beach Mall.
Also.
Sorry.
Also.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing.
Same thing. You know,
I was going to say Coral Square, isn't he? In
he
Boynton?
had an opportunity to get in front of voters, and he took it.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, it's little things like that it's like, you know, we have a birthday party coming up this Sunday, you know, for somebody that we're celebrating. And candidate, you know, Brian Stenberg is like, I'm going to go canvass. I'm going to go door knock afterwards.
In the neighborhood behind the restaurant.
If anybody wants to join us. Like, this is how it gets done. This is how we make a difference, and we engage with people and talk to, and where they are. We need to, you know, if more people go where the voters are and engage with them, the Democrat money has no influence. They cannot influence. And so I'm really excited that we get to talk to Ro a little bit more in our next episode, because this will, you know, kind of tie all of that together. But it's like, I'm so tired of the Democrat talking points that are just full of lies and holes. And you know, we sat through a presentation about from the superintendent of schools of Palm Beach County, and it was like, if you would have listened to him, our schools are great.
Oh, yeah, but you'd be
perfect.
sending your kids there right now. And there are great schools.
Yeah.
There are, and there's great teachers, and
They're A-rated.
very good friends with some of these teachers. even though they're
A
not sure they want it.
$5.5 billion budget.
Which is, for the record, $25,000 per student, but yet they are all screaming and gnashing of teeth that $8,000 of taxpayer dollars is going to students who choose not to send going to parents who choose not to send their kids to these public schools.
But they had to pay the tax. They still pay taxes.
They'll still pay taxes.
Even if they put their kid into or
Private school. Right. So now, though, you get like a rebate, essentially, is what's happening.
So actually, you actually get a little bit of your money back if you're not using the school system.
Yes.
Which creates healthy competition.
Yep. Hence what we were talking about earlier when they're like, okay, now we need to provide better customer service. Which I'm like, maybe we shouldn't focus on customer service. Maybe we should focus on quality of teaching.
Academic excellence.
I mean, they say that they are, but
isn't
they pay the teachers. I mean, they are getting a raise, but again, with
isn't customer service
$5.5 billion budget.
By going towards a customer service aspect, I'm sorry, but when I hear that and I hear it being from a teacher, I kind of think like, oh, well, they were upset I gave them an F, so I had to give them a D for better customer service.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Or like if your child, if like a parent is like, oh, my kid, like a teacher comes and says the kid is misbehaving to the parent, we need to talk about their behavior. Well, I'm not going to do anything about it, and you need to stop harassing my kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's not good customer service. Like, what? It's just so wonky.
It's such a weird
it's such
tack.
a weird, right?
It's such a weird tack. Like, look, our focus this year is going to be on customer service.
I don't know.
Okay.
If you're a teacher, could you weigh in on what you think of this? Because I'm very curious. Because the couple of teachers that I've spoken to about this don't particularly love it because it causes a lot. It has to do with things like responding to parents' emails right away and like that type of thing. And I'm like, I get that, but you also want the teacher to be teaching the children and planning lesson plans.
There should be a standard of care when it comes to teaching.
Yeah.
You know, like it should just be like certain, you know, like,
excuse me,
like certain points that like as a teacher, this is your responsibility. Like, you know, if a parent reaches out to you, you should respond in 24 to 48 hours, you know, like common sense type of things. But to like have it oriented in customer service.
I know, it's just weird.
I mean,
and I heard this one lady at the table next to us was like, that's an interesting approach. I don't think she thought it very, I think she was a previous educator by how she was like kind of mumbling her comments back.
But it's so interesting because it was like, you know, this is a room of a lot of older people where most of them are grandparents, not, you know, firsthand or great grandparents even. And so it's like they're getting this update and thinking that, oh, their public schools are so great. And it's like I'm hearing from teachers and from parents that are actually going to school board meetings and they're like, the you know, all of this stuff that's happening in the school districts that, you know, like people just aren't aware of. And again, this is where those Democrat talking points, you know, they get to say like, oh, they employ 23,000 employees and they're 10th the largest, you know, school district in the nation. And they have 168,000 students, you know. So,
$5.5 billion budget.
Yeah. And so it's like, you know, 70% of their graduates have taken a college course, you know. So it's like
Not graduated from college,
just taking a
college course.
Yeah. So it's like they have all of these little, you know, talking
metrics,
points.
Yeah.
And if you're just in a room and you're just hearing an update, you're like, oh yeah, our schools are great. There's nothing going on here. But it's like nobody questions what the $5.5 billion goes toward because they only have 13,000 students.
You mean
or
13?
Teachers. So they have 13,000 teachers with a $5.5 billion budget.
26,000 employees.
13,000 teachers.
13,000 teachers, 23,000 employees.
That's a lot of administrators.
It's not all administrators. Some are janitors, things like that.
True.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, if you really think about those numbers and then you break them down to what they mean and what what it's kind of going into, it's like you would really kind of think, but since they segment it so perfectly in their talking points.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. So if it's 13,000 teachers and they make $52,000 a year, let's just say that's
plus bennies.
That's starting salary.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? 676 million?
Yep.
So let's add another $10 million to that for benefits. Maybe more. I don't know. You would know better about benefits.
I'd have to
13,000 employees.
$6,000 insurance plan per employee per year.
Okay, so I'm just running some quick numbers here, guys. 676 mil. So, would you say 6,000?
Yeah.
So 6,000 times 13,000 is 78 million. So plus 676. Now I got to do all the zeros correctly.
I'm thinking of that
Okay,
meme, the woman
we're
with like the
still at
formulas.
less than $1 billion.
Yeah.
Way less than $1 billion.
So there's still $4.5 billion in the budget.
And I'm sure there's overhead
Not including
that's
salaries.
probably,
Facilities
Right.
and CapEx and all that stuff.
Right.
Absolutely. But
probably
so
a
when
billion
you
or
so
so.
again though, if you're saying 13,000 like $5.4 billion, $5.5 billion budget, and less than $1 billion is going to
And
teachers.
there's not a single candidate out there that is going and discussing the budget in Palm Beach County. I have not found a single school board candidate that is talking about the budget.
Challenge. If you're a school
Because I'm
board
telling
candidate-
you, if you are a school board candidate and you want to win, because this is the highest thing on tax bills.
Oh, yeah.
So if you really want to win, and it can be a great conservative Republican talking point, if you are able to break down the budget and find out how you can, and I'm not even talking about lowering the budget, because most people will not defund their schools. So I get that. But if you have a real good plan to reallocate what this money is going to, so that
where's the money going
so
and
that-
how to reallocate
so
it.
that teachers aren't funding their own classrooms,
Yeah.
you will knock it out of the park and you will win.
And that it's a nonpartisan race, right?
Yeah.
And when you're talking to people, a lot of people don't care about voting for school board because they don't have children in the school
Yep.
system. The people who care the most about voting for school board are people who have children. However, if you go door knocking and you ask, and they're like, well, why should I care? I don't have kids in the school system. Have a copy of a tax bill
Yeah.
and say, what do you think this portion goes to? Where's your tax bill? Look at your tax bill. This is what you're paying for. Don't you want to know how that money's being spent, regardless if you have children that are benefiting?
I know I
or
do.
not?
In your district that you're running for school board, you should know what percentage is, what the school millage rate is for your tax bill.
And then, so when you're door knocking, and so you would be able to get anybody from any party when they see how much money they're being spent and say, this is how it is being spent now. This is my plan to spend it better and potentially lower. That's the goal, but to spend it better to start with.
And what a great way to hold your current school board officials accountable. Because who's going to vote against you on that if you're there and you're showing the numbers and you just call them out on it? Like, okay, so you would much rather have, $500,000 going to some social program versus making sure that your classroom is funded with the essentials that are needed, like hand sanitizer or
Whatever.
or tissues or whatever number 2 pencils, whatever
like a sick word in here.
whatever that they may need, because I know as a parent, when I had 3 young children in school and having to pay for all of those supplies and paying my property taxes every year, like it was kind of like, where's my money going? Like, I don't really understand. Isn't this what taxes are supposed to pay for? And I think it's also great, like Palm Beach County, like Pahokee, they were saying that they didn't have a band program. And so then they were able to fund a band program. So I'm not saying that there's not good things that
Absolutely.
can happen.
Absolutely.
That can happen. But it's like, we need to call the balls and strikes. We need to celebrate the good things and be like, okay, yes, this is what money should go towards, but we need to get away from some of these programs, especially if there is no data confirming that it is actually helping or benefiting.
Right. And that's what a school board candidate who can look at the data and understand, like, what are these numbers and where's the money going? And some of it you might not know until you're in. I know, like, that was a big thing for Marcy's campaign. She was like, there's stuff that I could find out, but there's more that I need to know once I'm in. So we're not saying that you need to know every single thing, but having a very firm grasp on it. A lot of it is public information. You can get it through public records requests. You can have all of it. There are people in our world that will want to help candidates find this information if you show that this is information that you care about.
And it's showing up. I mean, it's showing up, and it's attending the meetings, it's listening to the conversation, it's watching the meetings if you can't be there live on replay. Part of being a informed, good candidate is
knowing the job that you're interviewing
is putting in
for.
the work.
Yeah.
Putting in the work ahead of time to learn the issues and craft your position.
I missed it last night, but I had signed up for like a leadership training candidate forum thing.
Leadership Institute? Or?
Yes, yeah, Leadership Institute. And I watched it the first day, and I halfway through, I was like, I need the advanced version because I know all of it. I'm like,
that feels good, right?
I felt
when you're
really
like, hey,
smart.
I know this.
I did. I felt really smart for a few minutes because I was like,
for a few minutes.
because I was like, oh, I know this. So one of the questions they asked is like, what is more important, time, money, or talent?
Time.
I would say time as well. Yeah.
That was the answer. And so it was like 50% of the group said, time, and then like 30% said
talent.
No,
money.
Money.
A lot of people think
And
that if
then
you don't
the
have
rest
money,
wa-
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and the rest.
It
the
helps.
rest was
It
talent.
helps, but it, like, look, again, Marcy's campaign.
Oh,
Marcy's campaign proves it.
Yes.
Proves it. If
Yeah.
you are willing to put the work in, and who was I talking to? I was talking to somebody today.
I was talking about her campaign recently too, and I can't remember in what kind the disparity in the money.
In the money. Well, I was talking to somebody
who I was talking
today
to.
about how I choose, like, if I'm going to work on a campaign or not, and what I learned a lot from working on Marcy's campaign and then in campaigns afterwards or whatever. To not jump into one right away and see first how much work the candidate themselves is going to put in. Because if I'm going to work for a candidate, I need to know that the candidate is willing to work
hard.
harder than me
Yeah.
as a volunteer. I shouldn't
The
be working
candidate should be the hardest working person
Correct.
on the campaign.
And if that person's
period.
not going to, then they're not
and if they want to
going to work hard once they're in office.
if they want to outsource or pay somebody to do their job, that's a red flag.
Right, because then once they're in office, who's going to do their job?
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's scary when you kind of think
Oh
about
my
it.
gosh, it's so scary.
Because that's the Republican thing. A lot of, especially like establishment, rhino, whatever you want to call them, the politicians, the Republican politicians, like
Politicians. They're polished.
Yes, the politicians. That's a good one.
I'm just trying to make up words that are harder for you to pronounce tonight. That's really what I'm trying to do.
Thank you. Is that they just want to throw money at stuff.
Mhm.
They just want to throw money at it.
That's why the whole mantra is we have to have money. And again, money. I've run campaigns. Money helps. It helps when
does.
you want to buy
Definitely
signs.
helps.
It helps when you want to buy stuff.
It
For
helps
sure.
it helps amplify good messaging if you have
Yes.
good messaging.
But if your
already.
messaging is crap, it doesn't matter how much money you want to spend. And if you're a
Exactly.
crap candidate, sorry.
Yeah, $600,000 can't help you.
Nope.
We found out. So,
Oh man.
No
can
more
get-
free dinners.
Oh, the buffet train came to an end.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh.
so so those were a few of the, talking points that I had for this evening. But I just think that was, like we have to get better at messaging. We have to get better at stepping into conflict and not like calling people's names and like
Right.
to be abusive and to be not
Just screaming and yelling
Oh
is
my
not
gosh.
conducive.
I was having a conversation with somebody
Meetings.
with an official just here recently, and just how you approach like public comments at meetings, like
I mean, even within our own party.
even yeah.
I mean,
I
our
know.
last REC meeting, there was just constant screaming.
It amazes me that people think that they can behave that way,
Yeah.
and get away with it.
And
It's
then if
not
you
the
tell
real
them,
world.
and if you tell them that what they're doing is not correct behavior, then you're shutting their voice down and not allowing them
I'm
to
being
speak.
censored.
Being censored and silenced. They're just silencing all of us.
It's like no, we are
there's
professionals.
order.
I don't
to
know
a
how you
room.
can behave that way and think you're going to get results.
I
Yep.
don't know. I don't know.
I don't understand
And
that.
it is, I'll just say this. It is so, go ahead.
I yelled and screamed for a majority of my early adulthood life when I thought that I was old enough and that, I'm an adult now, so people should listen to me.
Did it work?
So, I yelled and screamed at my husband. I yelled and screamed at my children. No, it did not work. It did not benefit me at all. It just got me more angry and more upset.
Yeah.
But then when I, took a look at my behavior and reflected inwards and did a lot of personal development, is I realized, I can learn how to communicate effectively and actually get respect
And be heard.
And be heard.
Right.
Like, it was a foreign concept to
Yeah.
me at the time.
Yep.
I will admit it was.
Yeah.
You know, my kids used to call me Dragon Lady because I was like freaking crazy. But I owned it. I was like, okay, this just, you know, I learned a different way because I was like, instead of beating my head up against the wall,
Right.
I'm like, oh, maybe I could do
And that's
this
not
different.
to say that when you're passionate and you're angry and you're upset, like,
There's a difference.
space. There's a space to be frustrated and have that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between being frustrated and
Right.
being
Just
psychotic.
unhinged.
Yeah.
Unhinged, which is like I was gonna say. So like it was incredibly frustrating at our last REC meeting because like I know everybody sacrifices and nobody for the cause of trying to preserve and conserve the world that we want to create for ourselves and the future generations, whether they're your own children or the future generations of this. That's part of being a good citizen is to have your stitch and fabric to be better than it was when you came in, right? So like everyone's passionate about that and everyone is willing to sacrifice for that. So like I can only speak to me personally. Like I have a lot of people, I get asked this on a regular basis because I have 3 young kids. They're my oldest is now almost 9, but when I started in this world, she was 5 or 6-ish. And I've been asked, I can't even tell you how many times, I don't know how you do it. And I'm just like, you just do it.
Yeah.
And I sacrifice a lot. And shout out to my husband because he holds down the fort a lot because he believes just as much in the cause that we're working towards as I do. And that's his way of contributing to it. And he holds down the fort. But I sacrifice nights with my children. I'm not home to tuck them in. When I'm at an REC meeting, I'm not home tucking my children in. And I guarantee you, they're laying there next to their dad and saying, hey, where's mommy? I want to see mommy. It doesn't matter how many times I tell them where I'm going, that I'm not going to be home. I'll see them when I go. They still ask.
Yeah.
And I go into those meetings knowing that this is the sacrifice that I'm making, not being able to tuck my children in at night to be able to work to make a better future for them.
Yeah.
But when I go into that meeting or I go into anything and people are screaming and disrupting and emoting and not working towards the goal of which we are there to do, regardless of what type of meeting we're in, it's so disrespectful and so rude to everybody else's time who's sacrificing to be in that space. Like, why am I doing this if people are not respecting the fact that I have time? And again, I don't talk about this. I don't care if people want to say how you do. Everybody, we all have full plates with all the things that we're doing. And so I'm never, ever going to try to say what I'm doing, what I sacrifice is more than with it. No, I can only speak to my own is my point. And I want to encourage people, like, even if you are offended by what someone else says to you, screaming and yelling and disrupting other people's time, that is not how things get solved. Like, it's not going to work. I'm not going to come to your side. You might be the rightest of the right of correct in your opinion or what happened or your version of events. But if you are disrespecting my time, then why should I respect what you have to say?
Yeah.
Yep.
And it is like this weird dichotomy that we're so like individual type people as Republicans and conservatives. Like, you know, we're very meritocracy and all of these things. So then that again goes back to what everyone thinks, that their crap don't stink.
Well,
And like they are paying, therefore they have the ability to
that's
do it and say whatever they want.
so it's like, you know, we're individuals given the gift of life from God, right? And so it's almost that ego-driven aspects of that. You know, it's like when you let ego take over, you're the most important person and it doesn't matter, and that you're the only one that's important. When you really step into the fact that you are, that not only are you, you know, given the gift of life from God, but that other person is too.
Right,
And they're
exactly.
just as valuable. And what I have to say isn't any more or less important than what you have to say.
Right.
And this is what I was talking about earlier. You know, like we get to step into that conflict and we get to work it out to where there's a mutual respect. We don't have to agree.
Right.
We don't have to agree on everything. And I think that's one part where we fall short is like, I don't care if liberals agree with me or not,
Right.
but I do care if they respect me or not.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you want me to listen to you and say like, okay, if that's the way that you know, then let the best man win at the end of the day.
Right.
You know, it's like
Best idea.
right. So it's like if we could really just bring the ideas to the ballot box, you know, it's like go back to that simplicity. You know, keep it simple, stupid. Like bring your ideas to the ballot box and let the ballot box decide. And then once the ballot box decides in a legal, fair freeway.
Which we can talk about with Roe next time.
Then-
Tune in December 7th.
Then if you lose, you're more likely to be able to go like, okay, like
My ideas are not what people want.
exactly.
What do the people want?
And then you get to reflect and go, oh, okay, like how do we do it? If this is really what I want,
Right.
how do I articulate my message to get more people to come on my side or,
Right.
or to listen?
Well, I thought it was interesting, like what you kind of going back to what you were saying about at the meeting yesterday when the commissioner received like the Good Governance Award. One of the things that really stuck out to me that I was like, okay, this was huge. Remember, this is a room full of mostly Democrat people. But the president of the group, he said to Commissioner Woodward when he gave her the award, he said that on this we agree on this issue, we're all on the same side. But what you've shown us through this process is that you are very thoughtful. You're very considerate of all the information. He kind of ticked off all the things that we already know about how the commissioner functions. And he said, and so even at some point in the future, if we fall on different sides of an issue, we will respect what you have to say and where you fall on that issue because we know that you've come to that through a thoughtful and robust process.
Because she's
I was
transparent about it.
right, but I took that and I was like, that is how we all need to be.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we all, whether you're in government or not, whether you're speaking to, if people can respect you, what you have to say on things, regardless if they agree with you or not, and through that, and this is how I got to the process, which is again why I don't talk about things I don't know about. It's crazy. If I don't know, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion. I'd have to
Yep.
do a lot of research, and I'd have to
It's
understand.
like
and
when I got asked about bunkering last year during my campaign.
bunkering, what kind of what does that mean?
See, exactly.
What
That
does that
is-
mean, Abby?
That is dockside fueling, like behind your
Oh,
home.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 That was
And
a big
Which
deal.
is now, it passed this year
in Lighthouse Point.
in Lighthouse Point. A bunch of residents, they lobbied the commission and it went back to Marine Advisory and they got it because Lighthouse Point was literally the only city
But
in
that's
Florida
how
that
it should
didn't
be
allow it.
done. That's how
Yes.
it should be done.
Yes. But I had no knowledge,
Mhm.
being a pure landlubber.
Land lover.
I do not own a boat. I live on a dry lot in Lighthouse Point.
Are you
and-
like an anomaly?
I mean, there's
Kind of.
kind of. What can I say?
Everyone who lives outside of this area thinks that everyone who lives in this area owns a boat.
No, I have a paddleboard. I have multiple paddleboards, but
Ooh, we should go paddleboarding.
anytime.
Let's do that.
Anytime. The El Rio Canal is perfect.
All right, I'm in. Go paddleboarding.
Yeah. That's where I typically go here locally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I had a thought when you were talking about that. and-
Bunkering?
Yeah, but no. That don't remember.
Sorry.
You didn't know anything about it.
I don't
so-
know. I definitely didn't know anything about it. I have no opinion on bunkering.
I got an email into my campaign email last year while I was running, and it was actually a partner I worked with at Deloitte who happens to live in Lighthouse Point, and he's like, "Hey, I see you're running. What's your position on bunkering?"
You're like,
I don't know what
Google.
that is.
what is bunkering?
I don't have enough room for a bunker in my yard.
You're like bunkering.
We live
like,
in Florida.
Can I bury something? Like, what are we burying?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So, Abby, I think we have not seen you since the Breck showdown. Do you want to give us a brief?
I'll give you a brief update. I did not win. I was not victorious. We had about 85% attendance that night, which is
That's pretty high.
it's extremely high. Everybody turned out.
Ooh.
Everybody turned out to vote, and it was about 124 to 85 to 5.
That's you were the.
I was
80
85.
Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, you're not the 5, right?
No, the guy that ran for vice chair last December
Mhm.
nominated himself for chair and got 5 votes, which bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
I think his thing was because obviously there was a lot of emails going back and forth during the campaign
Mhm.
before the election, and he was like, "This was why I ran last December because we were trying to cut through the chaos."
Mhm.
But nobody 5 votes.
Bought what he was selling.
But I mean, it was disappointing, especially 2 months of really. It was a lot of stress. It was a lot of. I went to a lot of the club meetings. I talked to a lot of members. I made a lot of phone calls. It was a pure phone call election or campaign, and it was hard because Tom, late Chairman Powers, asked me to step up and run for it. He wanted me to run, and I ran, and I I tried to honor his wishes, and that's all I could do.
Mhm.
The membership, they wanted something different, and so I'm still the treasurer. I'm still serving as treasurer the best I can through next December, and I just hope that we can all come back together and advance our candidates in 24 because it's an important year.
It is.
And we just have to figure out a way forward. But we do have another election this month
For
because
vice chair.
Chairman Marino was the vice chair, so his election to chair created a vacancy in that position. Like if I
And
had
had
won,
to be properly noticed.
it had to be properly noticed, and so we have 2 known candidates that are running for vice chair.
You don't want to be vice chair?
I'm treasurer. Why would I want to be?
I don't know.
Why would I run for a different position when I'm already on the board?
I was just asking. I was just
No,
curious.
I'll stay in my role. Vice chair. I mean, yeah. Anyways, so
You'll end up having to do all the work.
yeah. So, so that's the Monday after Thanksgiving. That election.
Thanksgiving's a week from today.
Yeah, it's my favorite holiday.
Oh, me too. I can't wait.
I have a T-shirt that my parents got me. It's a Life is Good shirt that says "Leftovers are for quitters."
But I cook extra, so I have
Oh,
leftovers.
I know. We do too.
Okay.
We do too. But yeah, that's pretty much it on the Breck stuff. So I'm trying to think if there's anything.
Yeah,
else.
it's interesting because it's like even I was thinking the other day. I was like, oh, we have our REC elections that are going to be at the end of next year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we serve out the rest of our term for the next year, and then there's another election. And so, whether or not I decide,
We'll know a lot more how it all shakes down. But I mean, good
Yeah.
Lord, I don't even know.
I will share a really funny anecdote from that night. And I want to give out a shout out to a couple of individuals. Coconut Creek Commissioner John Brody, guest of the show. School board member Brenda Pham. And Tori Alston, also a guest of the show, school board member. The 3 of them are not REC members, but they showed up on election night and they stood out in the lobby of the community center and lobbied for me to members coming in.
That's
and
so nice.
I think you guys saw I had stickers printed up.
Yes, they were
Yeah.
so cute.
And they were giving out the stickers, and my supporters were wearing the stickers. And we did have one REC member that was like, "You can't have these in here. You have to be 150 feet out." I'm like, "Ma'am, this is not an SOE run election. This is an REC election. We can wear these stickers into the meeting if we want." And I mean,
Oh my gosh.
my opponent's supporters made poster boards. So, I mean, like, it was just
that's
slightly
funny.
comical, but I mean, that's
my
the state of
gosh.
the RECs these
Yeah.
days.
Oh Lord, I don't
You
know.
can't be in here. You have to be 150 feet outside the line.
Where's the line? Are
I'm
you
calling the cops. I'm like, oh my gosh.
She said she was calling the cops.
I think she was. I don't know who she was
didn't
calling.
call the line cops.
I'm like, go ask this guy. He's our election integrity guy. He's at the SOE every day. Like, he will tell you that
this is
the
not
SOE rules do not apply here.
don't apply.
I thought you guys would appreciate that.
Oh my gosh! If anybody is ever curious about what rules govern RECs, it's the RPOF rules. So those are all available. You can find all of that online. Sorry, I just squeaked my voice. But I think it is important. Actually, I haven't read them in a long time. So
I got
that's
pretty
on my
familiar with
list of things
RPF
to
rules
do.
of procedure within the last couple of
Right,
months.
which as a person
County Constitution, I need to go back through with a fine tooth comb because it's both documents. Like, if
okay.
if your REC follows the model Constitution, some
think ours
adopt their
does.
own.
No, I think ours follows the model.
We follow the
Constitution.
model Constitution.
I think so too.
So that's the RPOFs.
Yeah,
model
but then there's also
Constitution.
rules. The rules of procedure is more for the executive boards,
Mhm.
and like
But it's still good to know them, so
Oh,
you can
yeah.
know if anybody's any shenanigans are going on, or if people are accusing them of shenanigans.
Yeah.
You can say no, there's no shenanigans, and here's why. Because a lot of people don't know. They try to say, oh, this is what's going on if they don't like the person.
yeah,
And if you're trying to do something within your local, REC, is that if you know the rules, then you can be able to follow the rules and procedures to be able to do what you want to do.
Hold on. Are you telling me that knowledge is power? I'm shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Shocked and appalled. No, just
This
kidding.
this is how you get your county commissions to listen to you. This is how you get, your local
City council.
If you know the procedures.
If you know the procedures.
Yeah. And I think I said this earlier, but like when you approach the dais, which regardless of what dais it is, with respect and collegiality, I guess you could say.
Is that a word?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Appreciate
I think your message gets across a lot more
Absolutely.
effectively.
And if you follow the correct
you're-
order of things, if you just storm up there and try to snatch a microphone off the table and start screaming into it and then get mad that they
Yeah.
turn your microphone off.
Or say thank you for your comment.
Well, I mean, if you go up there rude and pissed off, like it just shuts people down.
One thing that most people do not know is that when you approach a dais with your comment, it is not, you can't, it's not a place to ask questions and expect
An answer.
At
Yeah.
a public at a public
public
meeting, differentiating between REC and
Correct.
and
Yeah.
like a
Correct.
public meeting. So like
So,
a school count.
I know a lot of people that I've seen, go up to the dais at city or in county and like they ask questions and they're waiting for an answer, and then they get mad when they don't get an answer.
Right.
Now, however, if you make a good point and you articulate what your ask is very well, they will respond to you, or they will say like, "Hey, contact my office. I'd like to talk to you
Yes.
more about that."
Yeah.
Things of that nature. So you can get a response if you are sparking the interest of a commissioner or a councilman or something.
And
of that
sometimes they
nature.
will answer your question in the discussion. So they don't
Correct.
sit up there and respond in a direct dialogue, but they will have you could potentially get answers, or even if you're not there to ask a question but you're there to voice an issue, you might get resolution in the conversation that then happens. A lot of times people give their public comment and then they leave.
Yeah.
And they don't stay to hear what the conversation is that happens. And I know sometimes that's hard if these meetings go long, but like that's where you get the information. And trust me, if they're sitting up there, they will have the conversation,
Yeah.
but they're going to have it even more if they still see you sitting there.
And
Like,
Yep.
you're part of it.
I will say firsthand, like probably the most interesting tidbits that I've picked up on from attending all these city commission meetings over the last 2 years, it's in the commissioner's comments at the very end of the meeting.
Yep.
After the public comments, after all the agenda items.
Yep.
It's in the communications.
Yep.
Because they will typically, I wouldn't say let slip, but they like just interesting stuff, or like the mayor, like in our town, because the mayor's, he's strong mayor or whatever. He'll say what's coming up, what he's planning for upcoming meetings, what the discussion's going to be. So, like, yeah, you got to stay till the end.
And that's where, too, if a commissioner or a council member has an idea that they want to bring forward, they'll also oftentimes do that in there. So if you hear something, it could be a great thing that you're like, I love that. I'm going to email the commissioner and say, I love this idea. How can I, as a resident, help you get this idea? Or on the flip side, if it's something you're like, oh, that's not good. I don't like that. That's not. So
that's when it starts. So that's when it's like, that's how the process works. So a lot of times, like if something's brought through, like that's how Commissioner Woodward did her her Veterans Service Advisory Board. She did it. She brought it up in her comments. She said, "I'm interested in starting this and doing this," and then therefore it was directed to staff about how to get it done, and then it worked through its process, and then it got passed by unanimous consent.
I think they're having their first meeting soon, right? Or did they already have it, or is it penciled?
Not quite yet. Hopefully by the end of the year.
Yeah.
So fingers crossed. But
And I'll just say this to kind of bring this point home as far as like, decorum and meetings and all that. I know something that I've heard a lot with regards to Breck, like at our meetings. Like, talking to the members over the last couple months when I was campaigning and stuff. And they're like, oh, our meetings are so boring. Like, we used to bring in speakers. The members can't talk and all this stuff. And I feel like people confuse and
I know where you're going with this.
an
and
REC
I'm like,
meeting.
yes.
An REC meeting I liken to a commission meeting.
Mhm.
And club meetings
Mhm.
are like town halls.
Yep.
yes.
So, like, you bring the speakers into the club meetings. You have the discussion, you have the interaction at the club meetings, the town halls. the REC meetings are business meetings.
Yep.
Yes.
It's to conduct the business
That's what
of the
Al
party.
says
Have
from
I not said
R30
this? Yes,
agency.
R30 agency, but I would say yes. But I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
It's like it's a business meeting.
I'm like, when I see these REC members that are kind of like, acting out and getting all mad and behaving like children, it's like, have you guys never attended a city or a county commission meeting?
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you
what
can't get away with that.
This is
stuff
not
there.
how there's Robert's Rules of Order. You're like, this is
Yep.
this is not a social club.
It's
Like
not, no.
that's what kind of tying it all back into what I was saying earlier. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not here for a social club. If I wanted to go to a social club and give up time with my children, I would do that.
Yeah.
But I am here to get business done.
Well, I say all the
So
time.
let's get business done.
Like the Hilton, because we have our meetings at the Hilton, so it's like I say all the time.
Because we're
like,
so bougie in Palm
like,
Beach County.
yeah.
Well, you don't have it at the EPAT Larkins Community Center on MLK Boulevard in Pompano?
No, we have it at
Fun fact: they used to be in the county commission building
yes,
Really?
office in Chambers
yes. So
back in the day when my dad was in.
back in the day. So
But
but
we gotta wrap up soon.
yeah, we have it in the Hilton, and in Palm Beach County we actually have split into regions. So we have a North, Central, and a South region. And I always say
Shout out South Region.
yes. And so now that it's going to be in the South County Civic Center, so I'm very excited about that. But our region meetings is where I say that's where the work gets done.
Yeah.
That's where we kind of start to strategize. We talk about what's going on locally, like what issues do we want to get involved in, and even like now we're talking about getting like resolutions passed in our region. Talking and discussing about resolutions to then propose to the REC to get voted on by the membership to then get things pushed up. Like this is how
It's like a streamline of a process.
Yeah.
so it's like this is how we get our voice heard. This is how we work the process to be able to effectively and matter-of-factly, and then you propose it to the membership and then they vote. And if they vote yay, if they say no, then go back and redo your resolution. Go back and work it out through the process and take that feedback that happens in that business meeting and work it to your advantage.
Is your chair being like the strong mayor of your REC? Is he on board with this process of bringing resolutions to the membership at large?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah. But he wants it to come from the membership, not from...
He doesn't want to do resolutions from the board. He wants it to come from the membership.
Okay.
Which I think this is where it should come from. The board is not in charge. The board just facilitates the meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's them having an idea based on their thought process and pushing a resolution to the members to say, hey, we want you to vote on this.
Yeah. I always say the real work of the party happens outside of those meetings.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's where, again, we need to be able to go to the meetings, get our information, have our business meeting, and then go do the work. And if people are there for a social club, go find another social club. Sorry. I don't want to be there for a social club.
Clubs don't win elections.
Social clubs don't win elections. And
No.
so, like, if this is where you go to see your friends, I enjoy seeing my friends. I see people that I only see once a month who live in north part of the county that I don't get to see that often. It's great. Hi, how you doing? We catch up for about 5 minutes, and I'm like, all right, let's go.
Let's get to work.
So if you're there for that, I'm so sorry. And I don't care how many years you've been doing that, and this is your social scene. The rest of us don't want to come for a social club. We want to come to get work done.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's where it should get done.
That's where messaging comes into play. That's where, you get to hear what candidates are running. You get to, that's where you get kind of the synopsis, the overhead view of kind of what's going on.
Things that you want to
party.
get pushed up to the state level, like that kind of stuff. Absolutely. This is where, and there are plenty of clubs.
Oh, yeah.
In Palm Beach County, I'm
And
sure.
Broward.
Broward County.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a million.
I
clubs.
hit almost all of them
There's
last
clubs,
2 months.
there's committees, there's other things. I mean, there's so many things. I mean, you can go to a thing every night, I'm sure, and get to see
But it's
people.
not going to get candidates elected.
But it's not going to get candidates elected. Exactly. So
Any closing thoughts before we close out?
definitely check December 7th. We are so excited that Ro is going to be with us from
I'm
Salvo.
excited because I'm not. I've interacted with him on the socials.
Do we have any
We have
comments?
no chats tonight. I know that I think the
Guys!
tech issues kind of like hampered us tonight. We have 9 people
Probably.
watching right now on Rumble, so people did come back to Rumble once we went live.
Good.
So,
Oh, good.
but no comments, no questions.
All
All right. That's all right. I was going to say the tree lighting for Boca, if you'd like to be involved in city stuff, the tree lighting is in Meisner Park on November 18th. It's usually really pretty and also usually insanely chaotic.
Yeah, we have Lighthouse Aglow in town.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah, and it is chaotic as well because there's just never enough parking around that park.
There's never parking. And this is the same thing for the parade. The parade will be December 6th, and the parade is always
That's
insane.
when Lighthouse Aglow is December
Oh,
6th, Wednesday, December 6th. So.
Yeah, so we'll be at the parade too.
All right, so I just want to go ahead and I want to thank our sponsors. So I want to thank Salvo Today, our 30 agency. Thank you for your sponsorship. We do appreciate it. If you want to check us out more, if you want to email us or know about our sponsors, you can go to our website, wethelocalspodcast.com. You can email us any questions at wethelocalsfl@gmail.com. Be sure to check us out on Rumble, YouTube. Check all of our links. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. And I just want to say, have a great night, everybody, and stay local.
Bye.
Bye.